the holy trinity of K-pop. Nobody talks about this at all. We all know they are big, but nobody talks about this at all. BTS, Blackpink, and Twice. They were three different models to three different solutions that K-pop needed on their era, on Gen 3, and made the K-pop industry evolve. But now, K-pop industry is broken because they were so freaking successful. They work because everything was perfectly lined up for them and they had the talent and the structure to back it up. But right now in current K-pop, the industry adapted to them and now their models are collapsing. BTS is what I like to call the fandom pioneers, because with BTS, cult-like fandom began. Yeah, BTS were the ones that changed it, how fandom works, and they made every fan of them personally invested. That is what BTS did, and that is how we get to have current K-pop fandoms. Every single fandom now is personally invested. Look at what's happening with Jungkook and Winter. They are absolutely personally invested. They reached that moment where everybody, being an army or not, everybody knew about them. They had the constant presence that turned into globalization with storytelling, authority, and direct communication. BTS changed how global fandom worked, up to a level like cult-like level. Something deep, something that you are personally invested, something even primitive as a tribe-like fandom. That if someone attacks my fandom, I'll attack him back and worse. That is how ARMY worked. And still works actually. And Big Hit, not HYBE, this was a Big Hit. They did not have any legacy. If you see what Big Hit had before BTS, it was nothing. They had like collaboration groups that they managed with other companies. I remember 2AM, they managed it with JYP. But I think they had just one group and it wasn't a global like group. It was more of a small group, more in festival stage. If you don't know the stages, I'm leaving you the image here. And make sure to check my video about how K-pop works. But what Bang Pirinim understood, what Big Hit understood, was the business. How to make the most out of every single opportunity they got, financially and structurally. All these key aspects mixed in between to make BTS great. Talent plus luck plus perfect understanding of the industry plus decision making. BTS is an exception. There won't be a next BTS because BTS changed how the game was played for their company and for the whole K-pop fandom industry. Heading into a second group, what Twice did was perfection the traditional blueprint that all Gen 2 groups did. The blueprint. Girl Generation. You want to know how a girl group has to be made? Look at Girl Generation. That was the old blueprint of high member count lineups, and they changed it with Twice. Twice perfected that traditional model being constant in Korea. They focused on the general public and they had constant visibility. That was the most important for Twice. There were years that they made 3 to 4 comebacks a year. Full comebacks, mini albums, episodes. They were never absent. They were always there, and their songs, their music was built for the general public. It was easy to listen. JYP chose to follow the process and back them up. They created the group right before the individualization. They focused on Korea right before the global public. If you want to know a little bit more about this, check my first video, why there won't be a next nations girl group. There I develop more about this idea. But this model worked because Twice became part of everyone's daily life. You were listening always to a Twice song. That is how Twice worked. They made it trust over hype. They made the constant of there will be always a Twice song. They won't disappear for 1 year. They will be always here. Which is the complete opposite of Blackpink. Blackpink did something that I call the scarcity and luxury complex. Blackpink, if you see their career, there were times that between 10 up to 16 months of no group activity, of no comeback, of no nothing. That is scarcity at its peak. But it doesn't work anymore because we got the industry saturated. Imagine if tomorrow I adapted this strategy. They don't release a song for 1 year. Yeah, there would be some expectative. But then we got more groups. We got Le Sserafim, we got Idol, we got Elite, we got a ton of groups that will keep releasing music, and then hype slowly fall into the forgotten realms of K-pop. That is why that blueprint doesn't work at all in current K-pop. It works for old groups, but not for current groups that need to be releasing 3 up to 4 comebacks a year. And the part of Blackpink's blueprint that is currently the standard is how they built individualizations since day one. Well, not day one, of course, but 2017, Jennie solo. That was the perfect strategy because since year 2 of debut of Blackpink, fans began wondering, who's next? They were all waiting for the next Blackpink solo. And by 2021, that Rosie released On the Ground, the expectative and the fandom became crazy, like, oh my god, we actually got the solo, we have been waiting years for this, it's insane, and the song delivered. Blackpink began with high quality songs. They were never the best choreographers, the most active on every aspect, no, they had the best quality songs that you could hear. You listen to old Blackpink, Whistle, Playing with Fire, Forever Young, and those are beautiful songs that aged perfectly. Songs that age perfectly is what Blackpink did. Crazy, incredible songs to later build more expectative to what is going to be the next Blackpink song. 10 months of nothing into comeback that delivered the absolute best, that delivered absolute quality. They learned from previous YG groups, Big Bang and 21. Every single song matters. Blackpink didn't need to release full albums of 10, 12 songs. They need to release enough songs that made the fan want to listen more. The Blackpink comebacks were cultural events. All K-pop world was expecting them and was waiting for that comeback to come. And what's best? The expectations were met or beaten. And right now these models cannot be done once more because BTS model needs too many variables to work once again and it won't work. Hype, why? There won't be a second hype. A fifth big group company unless something crazy happens. Look at P Nation, not even Psy can rivalize at all with the big three and hype. What BTS model required was authenticity, luck, obsession, and perfect timing. Twice model need massive capitals, massive logistics. For most companies, they would not be able to hold what Twice did structurally, logistically, financially. They can't do that. That's why the old big lineups gear group died. And with current model developed from Blackpink, they don't care about the group. We care about the member. We care about individuality before the group. We know Nayeon from Twice, but we don't know Jennie from Blackpink. We know Jennie as Jennie. We know Nayeon from Twice. That is different. And Blackpink model worked because they were Blackpink. Because they were the best. Because they were guaranteed. Quality was guaranteed for Blackpink. If you listen to any Blackpink song, you will think this is great. A small group, a medium group cannot do that. They cannot afford it. They need to keep going and going with comebacks, songs, releases, because if not, they will be left behind. Blackpink was the standard. They were not going to be left behind. They left behind everyone else. And it won't happen again. Because the industry evolved. The industry learned from them. Now every fandom is like ARMY. Not at all. I'm not talking about the toxic. But I'm talking about the personal investment people do with their faps, with their favorites, with the idol, with the group. The global market is not hungry at all. We got a ton of global groups. We got the old ones, Twice, GOT7, BTS, Blackpink, all of those, and we got the new HYBE, Le Seraphim, Idol, Elite is not global at all, New Jeans, 80s, Stray Kids, 17, and HYBE and TXT. We got so much. It won't work again because the global market is no longer hungry for music. And now the risks are optimized. Companies won't risk it anymore. They saw this worked for this company, now I'm going to do it again. I am going to replicate in smaller types what the company did. Blackpink model of individualization before group is what reigns in current gen, in late Gen 4 and early Gen 5. And as a result of everything, there is no longer one monster group. We got a ton of groups that are global, that everybody knows, that are breaking records, but we don't know one dominating the world, like BTS did, like what Blackpink did, like what Twice did. It's impossible to get them once more. Now K-pop groups got a lower peak, but they got wider distribution. And I've been telling this in some videos, but niche groups will come back in 5 years, in 6 years. Give them time. That will be the shift for K-pop. And if you found this video interesting, useful, if you liked learning about how K-pop works structurally, make sure to subscribe, and I will keep making more videos about K-pop. Because remember this, BTS reinvented the wheel. With HYBE, Twice perfected the system, and Blackpink optimized Scarcity. All of them succeed once, but now the industry doesn't need that. That door is closed. I'll see you on the next video.